Okay.
Shubham,
Hello everyone, welcome back to the 5-day seminar Genesis Beyond Learning presented to you by Silver Oak University IEEE Student Branch and B Affinity Group in collaboration with Headstart Network Foundation, GDC Cloud Ahmedabad, PyData Ahmedabad, GDC Ahmedabad and WTM Ahmedabad. With so much of lust in our heart, we would like to share that the Silver Oak University always stands foremost when it comes to initiate such kind of learning event, be it a technical or non-technical. The university never backs down when it comes to give a hand to boost the skills of its student. It always focuses to evolve the student in every aspiring way. Now, let's start with a brief introduction to Silver Oak University IEEE student branch. It is the first branch with the highest number of 115 members in the whole Gujarat section. Has also focused on a 360-degree enhancement of all the students. The branch has always stood upright and when has welcomed all the events and seminar which can give our student extra understanding and awareness apart from the curriculum syllabus. Our student branch has initiated a large number of events till now, which has always given satisfactory results and feedback. It gives us pleasure to announce that Genesis is the first event under the tag of Silver Oak University IEEE student branch. This is the second day of the webinar series and we have already made a good head start. In today's session, our speaker will provide us with an excellent guidance for building an effective and responsive application or website to all of us. Here's a fact, 88% of the online shoppers says that they would not return to a website after having a bad experience. So let's learn about UI UX from our today's speaker, Mr. Rohan Mishra, who is a product designer at Zomato and doing UX research. He's a founder of Design Sunday community. He has also served in companies as a user experience specialist. Apart from that, he's a Google Code inventor of JBoss community Red Hat. Moreover, he's also a founding team member of Geekhub UIET. So now, without wasting more of your time, let's begin with today's session on UI UX. And please remember, at the end of the webinar, we will have a question answer session with our speaker. So keep your question all ready. Also, everyone kindly fill the attendance form given below in the description. Now, redirecting to our speaker, Mr. Rohan, over to you.
hi Shubham, thank you so much for this warm welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I would like to thank Silver Oak University for giving me this opportunity, the IEEE student branch, for hosting such great webinars. This series is awesome and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Some of the shout out goes to the partners as well, the GDG Ahmedabad community, GDG Cloud Ahmedabad, WTM Ahmedabad, PyData Ahmedabad, and Headstart Foundation. So thank you so much, guys, for having me here. Technically, this is my second visit to Ahmedabad. I've been I've been to the Dev Fest last year, and it was quite an experience. So I'm so happy to be here. Let me quickly switch to my screen so that we can start. Awesome. I hope you all are able to see my screen now. So
Yes, you may continue.
yeah, thank you. So so today we'll be talking about UI UX design, and how, have been my experience, and I'm going to take you through the journey of how the design has evolved over the years. What were some of the good, bad designs that existed, and also we'll talk a little bit about how can you get started into UI UX design. So yeah, what's on the menu? Right, I come from a very hospitality, food heavy background, like you guys already know, Zomato. So we will be talking about why design, what is the role of a designer in a company, in an organization, and in society in general. And then we'll be talking about how Facebook solved a real problem with design. We'll be talking about a case study, that Facebook did to solve a problem, and how can you become a designer. As I said, I'll share some of my learning, some of the processes I have learned along the way with you guys. There's going to be a session of around 45 minutes. I want to keep it short, sweet, and I want you guys to take away a lot with you when you go back. Cool. So let's start with who am I? I don't think I can add much to the like introduction I have like Shubham gave just now. But let me start with so I'm the founder of Design Sundays. It's a community for designers, and it's on Meetup. You can go follow, where we host all kinds of events on user research, design tools, and all those things. Before that, I have been I'm still a coordinator for Design Jungle, which is one of the biggest design communities in India, with around 5,000 members. So this is something I have been doing for last 4 years, and my experience in design uh, has helped us grow, and I'm happy to contribute to the community. Apart from that, you guys might know me from some of these products like Zomato Market, Zomato Gold, Zomato On Time or Free, Gold Specials, Meals for One, Zomato Support. So I currently co-lead the Zomato Consumer App and Zomato Support for all the platforms and all our users. Apart from that, I'm a design mentor and speaker, and I've been mentored around 700 plus members so far. And I do college events, I host professionals, I mentor professionals as well as students. I run this program called Product Design Launchpad, where I mentor students from their journey of beginning into design to getting a very good job, or switch to a better opportunity. So yeah, that's about me. My name is Rohan, founder Design Sundays, product design Zomato, design speaker and mentor. And now we are going to quickly jump into what's the motive of this talk. So this is a chat I had with one of my friends. She has been doing some great work for the community, for the GDG Delhi, and she actually reached out to me one day, and she said, "Do you know any intern opening in SDE or the product manager role?" And for first, I said, okay, I'll let you know. But then I have seen some of her work, some of the design projects she has done as a graphic designer, and some were entering into the UI UX thing. So I asked her out of curiosity, design kyun nahi, like why not design, right? And she said, I don't know what happens in design in the industry, what is actually considered as design. I have been doing it for fun. So in my mind I was like, why not create it as a full-time opportunity? I have done that, right? So we'll be talking about that. So let's just start first with what is design. Let's start with why design. Why do we need to design? Why design exists? So I would love to interact with you guys, but that would open up so much chaos. So let me answer that for you, because you'll get to make world a better place by solving real life human problems. So as many of the coders, the programmers in the audience might be thinking, like, we also solve problems. But yeah, well, but as a designer, you are focused on solving the human problems. It's not just about writing good code and solving that kind of problem. It actually cares about the experience of the person, how he feels around products, how and that goes from making a chair to building great websites and apps and all those kind of things, right? So now, as I said, let's start with what is design. What is actually considered as design? It's a problem solving process that makes experiences better for people, right? So the key part here is it's a problem solving process. The problem solving is there, and who are we solving this for the people, right? So this is something we do. I want to take you through like a few examples of where, like, if you don't consider design really well, if you do not care about your users, it can actually um, you know it can actually take lives, right? It can be very painful. So let me start with the example of this car company called Lincoln. So they actually in 2015 pulled out, around 14,000 cars off road in just like matter of 3-4 months. But why is that? And why does a company want to, like, pull off their cars off road? What happened? So as it turns out, this imagine you're going at imagine you're going at 150 kilometers per hour on this highway, and you just want to move to the next level, what we call as the speed mode, like, right, in the case of cars, right? So we are going at 150 kilometers per hour, and we now want to go to like 175. So we reach out to the dashboard to switch to the speed mode and what sports mode, and what we end up doing is we end up clicking a wrong button, right? Because if you see, the problem was the speed mode, the sports mode button was just above the engine on and off button. And think about this, you're going 150 kilometers per hour, and then suddenly you you want to go, you want to increase the speed, but you stop the engine on a highway, and it caused a lot of accidents, and a lot of accidents were happening. So this was a typical case where, like, the designers did not consider the scenario in which people will be using this particular product, like, and that was like in extreme aggression, and there will be on a highway, there will be cars around, there will be trucks around, and that caused a lot of accidents. Second is this case, which is one of my favorite examples to explain what bad design can cost you. So this is an example where, like, every person in the city of Hawaii got this message that ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill, and this was not from any, like, unknown source. This came directly from the government, and suddenly there was this panic all over that, we are all going to be killed, and people started picking up their phones and calling their families and saying that I'm going to die and I cannot do anything about it. And just think about it, if like, you can't be saved, right? And there is nothing you can do about it. How would that make you feel? What emotions would it bring out, right? And, like, this happened, and the problem was after 38 minutes of this great panic that happened all over the, like, all over the place. The government came out, and they put out these kind of messages that there is no threat, the emergency alert, there is no missile threat or danger to the state of Hawaii, repeat, false alarm, right? And you can see all the hoardings, boards all over the city, right? And people started leaving the city because no one wants to stay, like, there. Then but the problem was really that if you see on the left bottom, there was the problem was that one was the drill switch, one was the drill button, and the another one was the real thing. And the only difference was there was this drill, and you once you click, it's out of your hands, right? You'll not be able to change anything, you'll not be able to make it right. And once you have pressed it, then the entire city gets this alarm, this state of gets into this state of fear. So only like just by adding a drill, they thought that they'll be able to tackle this scenario, and there was no some error messages like, are you sure, the like caution message like, are you sure you want to do this? This will send an alarm, and there will be a lot of panic out there, and no one actually thought of doing that, and that caused this problem. The third is my like my go-to for actually explaining anyone that why design is important, and it's a very painful story, and I almost get goosebumps while talking about it every single time. It's about a girl, 6 months old girl named Jenny. So she was she had cancer, and there were three nurses taking care of her. She needs to be given the medicine, and after before and after that, she needed to be hydrated, as the medicine was so powerful that hydration was needed. And as the treatment started, right, after some time, the people got used to, and the nurses start taking care of this girl. One day they forgot to give Jenny hydration, and she died. She died because she could not get proper hydration, and the medicine dose was so high. As it turns out, in the investigation, people found out that the user interface in the room where all the alerts and all the things were happening, the medications were specified, had a usability problem, usability problems and UX issues. And this is not just one case where we can talk about this. This happens all the time. There are so many more options of poor usability where the people just got people get stuck in the in figuring out the tools. The tools are not, the people don't use tools to use tools. I'm sorry, just give me a minute. People don't use tools to use tools. They use tools to get something done, and these tools require so much uh, these tools require so much attention, so much taking care of, that people were taking care of this, not the patients. And these are like thousands in numbers. If you really go on internet and search for the poor UX cases where like it costed people lives, livelihood, or just could not figure out this and that had to leave. Think about our IRCTC website a few years ago, right? And we were not able to do anything with it because this wasn't meant to be used by us. This is something that we're not able to figure out. So now let's talk about design of digital products. I gave you one example of how, so this medical tool was a digital product. It was a dashboard. It was entry dashboard, right? So now let's talk about design of digital products. That's what I do. I make designs for Zomato consumer app and all other products that I have worked on. So in the last few examples, we actually saw there is this lack of being user-centeredness, not thinking about the people who are going to use it. So if I consider in the case of the first one, so it was a person who is in aggression, who wants to go up in speed, he wants to go like 200 kilometers per hour and some speed like that. And in the second case though, where there is this there is so much power in the hand that with a push of button there will be a text alert for the entire state. And from there, people need to be sure about that what panic they are what they are sending out in the world. And in the third example, as we talked about, the tool, where the main job of the nurse is not to use the tool, it's to actually handle the patient, it's to actually better treat the patient, it's to actually take care of their lives, right? So there is something that's missing there. It's the user centered part of it, like the being user centered, about the challenges. Who is the user? Where is this person going to use my product? What is the use case? Why people want to even use this product in the first place? And these are all the questions that these products were not answering. So, but let's talk about what do we mean by user centeredness. So, user-centered design, it's actually about listening, measuring, and observing user behavior to uncover pain points and create intuitive solutions, right? So it's about listening to the people, what they are complaining about, what they're saying, what are their suggestions, not take solutions from them, but to really understand what the problem is. And then measuring, like, well, how can we make it better? How it has evolved over the years, what are the best practices, what shortcuts they have figured out on their own, and learning from them and observing them in their natural habitat. Like if I talk about in the three cases, if just the designer, just the people who were there and they just went to the car, like sat next to the person who is in the car and saw him driving at 200 kilometers, I am sure they would have figured it out. And you know how they actually solved it after taking out like 4,000 cars of 14,000 cars off road? They just placed the speed mode button on top. Like there were four buttons, so they just placed it on top, right? Instead of having just next to the start stop engine button, they actually placed it on top. And that's how actually this solved it. So yeah, so observe user in their um, their natural habitat where they are functioning, where they are working, right? To uncover what are their pain points, what challenges they are facing with the product they are using, and so that they can create products which are intuitive, which just like people know by just looking at it what needs to be done. Like, yeah. So, so yeah, as I said, that we don't look for solution while talking to the people. We look for the real problems behind every request, complaint, and suggestions that we get. Right? It's not about the people don't know what do they want. They know what is their problem, what challenges they are facing, right? And to better understand this, let's talk about a case study from Facebook and how they used design to solve a problem. So on Facebook, there the people wanted a dislike button for a very long time, right? They were actually mentioning about that I want just like everything in the world is not likable, we want a dislike button. So product designers discovered that the real issue was not the lack of dislike button, right? But the idea that not everything in life is likable, right? So there are two things, right? If I just heard the solution from the user, I would have designed a dislike button, like, and my job is done. Just like YouTube, like you can either like it or you can dislike it, right? But now if you see the Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter, LinkedIn, they all have all this wide range of emotions, right? Why do they do that? But so they came out with a solution. So there was one more thing that was there, right? The idea that everything is not likable. And also if I introduce a dislike button, it's very much possible that the sanity of my platform goes down, right? People feel like there is hateful content that's been created, but you just don't react to these same things in the real life just like that. You just don't get like, you just give someone thumbs up or thumbs down. You behave like there is a whole spectrum of emotions that you go through. You like something, you love something, you just like uh, find something very uh, amusing, right? And something can just wow you, something can make you sad, or something can make you angry. And that's all the, like, emotions we go through, and some more. So they actually thought about this, and the solution they came up with was this interaction. So, product designers look for opportunities to make functional and delightful features that bring value to the users, right? So it's not just about the function, and it's not just about the delight. It's design. If I put it more rightly, it's about a beautiful solution to a problem, and it should be beautiful. People want to use it, like, it should be beautiful. It should have that some level of delight. The interaction, they could have just placed the icons, but to make it very much like, show emotions, they actually created an animation interaction which happens whenever you select an interaction. And just try the way it happens, it's very cohesive. So So, as I said, product designers do not listen to users for the solution; they listen to users for problem, and then they solve it. Because the people who are talking about the problems are not the best people to think about solution. It's not their job to, actually, right? Someone actually, it's a job of a designer. It's a job of the product person to think about all these things. So, yeah, they listen to users for their problem, and as this famous Henry Ford quote goes, if I had asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses, right? But but he designed a car. He found that the problem is not actually being about horses being slow. It's about a better way of commute. It's about like a machine which does not get tired. It's about making people feel more comfortable. The horse's back is not very much comfortable. You cannot travel long distances on it. So he heard for the problem and solved it his own way. And Ford Motors today is one of the biggest companies in the world. Same goes with Steve Jobs. He found the problems, and then actually he solved them his own way. Not think about, like, let me make the keypad things better. Let me make the keypad phones better. He actually designed something which does not have a keypad, like, the physical keypad. So, okay, this was all about the history and the cases in design where the designers haven't paid, like, a lot of attention to designing products. But now, if we talk about how to become a UI UX designer, what does it take to become a UI UX designer? So it's about so and but there is not just um, one term, that's the UI UX designer. There actually that can be further divided into several parts. Let's talk about a few of them. So first is, if you like working on the visual part of it and the visual part of design, how fascinating something looks, and how clean something looks, and right. So that's the part we call as like the person who is a visual designer, who works on the UI and the visuals of the products, of the things we use. And this includes all sort of things like typography, hierarchy, contrast, the icons, the images, the gradients, and everything, the logos, the branding. So this is one. But if you like to work on how a product works and make it user friendly, convenient, analyze and test, like, the several use cases, and you actually consider your users at the center of the design, then you might want to become a user experience designer. And that's what it really uh, can be turned out. And you basically not think in terms of the visuals, you actually think in terms of what would be most relevant to my users, right? What would they want to see right now? And for that, it's actually about um, it's actually about doing some research. It's actually about talking to a few people and then figuring out all the use cases, making wireframes are just like paper mocks you make to sketch some ideas, to think of some ideas, and how the overall journey you design some user journeys that the person will first come here, then he goes here, and then he goes here, and that's how the whole system will work. So you design user flows, you user journeys, task flows, and that's how user experience design functions. Then something more holistic that actually cares about the UI part, the UX part, even some business part of it, and the technical aspect of it. Then you actually are talking about a product designer, just like myself. I so we if you do UI UX plus, we understand the product at a deeper level in terms of how the business, the revenue, the the whole operations side will work, and with we improve it with adding technology knowledge to it, so that like the solutions we are suggesting to the problems it does not take much effort, right? Like it should be made easily. The frameworks that we are using, the programming languages, the frameworks we are using, we can actually make it with that. So let's say
Sorry guys, there is some technical issue. We will be right back soon. Stay tuned.
Hello. Hello, guys. Can you
Yes, you are on board.
hear me? Industry. Sorry. So let's start again. If people are still here, cool. So they're not just like UI UX designers. Then you can divide it into visual designer, user experience, through it again. So a visual designer is someone who looks at the visual part of it, the colors, the typography, the hierarchy, the contrast, and the images, the gradients, right? And the user experience person who actually talks about the convenience of the users, the desirability of the product, and how to make things easier. Like it should not take more steps. If they are adding, let's suppose I'm adding from point to other point in an application. So just after I select the first point, it should actually move to the second point, and from those nitty-gritties to even bigger things, right? And then comes a product designer who actually thinks about the whole thing in a more holistic way. Like he talks about UI UX, plus he deeply understands the product, the business, the operations, and also the tech part of it, so that will people be able to make it easily and ship it out fast, how much money it can bring, and how much revenue it takes, right? So he thinks about all those things.
Sorry, you are not audible.
right? So let's dive into craft and execution. It's about sharpening the basics of design, mastering the
You
tools,
can you
getting
repeat the last
better
slide?
at
You are not audible.
designing clear and visually aesthetic interface. It's a, sorry, hello,
Can you repeat your last slide? You were
hello.
not audible at that moment.
Yeah. Now am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible. You may
Hello.
proceed.
Now am I audible?
Ye-
Harsh,
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Shubham. Hello.
Hello, am I audible to you?
Oh, okay. Thank you. So
Okay.
okay, let me just let's talk about what is the difference between, yeah, you are, hello. Cool. So let's understand the difference between they actually talks in terms of the valuable thing, the useful thing, the things that are desirable to the users. If the it is communicating some information, how can it do it in less number of steps, and how to make the things credible and likable. So the UI designer is actually concerned more about the typography, layout, images, the buttons, how the forms look, what the content is there, and the color scheme, right? So let's talk about the three steps in the journey of becoming a designer. It actually talks about three steps. It's actually given by Julie Zuo. She's a VP for product design at Facebook, and she also talks about this. And I also believe in this idea. So I thought let's start with this. So the first step is craft and execution. How you make stuff. How do you make something which communicates with the people, right, visually. The second is product thinking. Are you making something valuable? Is it going to add some value to the people's life? Is it solving some problem? And if yes, how big is the problem? What can be the impact of it? How much time it is going to take to build it, and how profitable can this be? And the third skill is about is the influencing skill. Can you communicate well with the people? Can you collaborate well with the people? So let's talk about craft and execution first. So it's about sharpening the basic design skills. It's about mastering tools. It's getting better at designing clear and visually aesthetic interfaces which can communicate well. It's about making clear things, it's about if you're designing a product, then it should communicate what you want it to communicate. And it talks about visual principles like contrast, hierarchy, colors, and typography, etc., which is the main thing for becoming a visual or UI designer. Then you can actually take it forward into the digital world by actually learning the tools like Figma, Sketch, or Adobe XD. So I personally use Figma because it gives the team collaboration, because I work in a big team where all the product managers even design. So Figma comes handy. The second thing is like strong the product thinking skill. It means that you understand what good outcome means that what problem you are solving and how is it going to help your business, and how to design an interface which can lead to those good outcomes, right? So you know what to do, and you also know how to do it, right? So that's the product thinking part. So learn about the UX research. For this, you have to learn about the UX research, personas, UX strategy, and how to scale products. That essentially comes in like growth hacking, reaching to wide audiences. And you can learn it from the sources like medium.com, planet, uxplanet.org, or UX collective, that is uxdesign.cc. And the third and the last skill is about clear communication, which is influence things and there is no right way to learn it. It's a soft skill, so you have to collaborate with a few designers, you have to make some concept projects with some friends on some real life problems, right? It could be like, if you are a college student, it could be just the hostel allotment thing, it could be just the fee payment thing, it could be the examination automation, it could be the result declaration, it could be anything, solve a problem which affects students. Like if it solves for 500 people, then you have actually created a difference. So in the end, this is probably where I would like to end it. So in the end, I would just want to say, solve real life human problems, right? Maybe it could be like skipping, like making it easy for the old people to get their food. It could be like helping people better function at the hospitals. It could be anything, just solve human problems. So with that, thank you everyone, thank you so much for joining. That was all I had to share, and if you have any questions, I'm here to take it. Thank you. I can answer them for you.
Uh, I have sent you the question in the private chat. You may see. Check it out.
Yeah. So the first question is, how did you get in contact with Zomato? Um, so actually, we have this amazing HR team. One of them actually. So we were in talks, and she. Sorry. Hello.
Sorry, sorry.
Can you
I was
can you hear
not.
me?
I was not saying
Okay. Okay.
talking
Okay.
about
Thank you.
right.
No worries. Thank you. So yeah. So actually, we got talking, and then I joined. It's been around 1.5 years almost. So I've been here. So you said UX designers will create wireframes, rendering of their interface, interaction, and get user feedback. But what does wireframe rendering means about the creation of? So I don't think I said rendering, but I actually talked about wireframe. So wireframe is basic structure of how an interface will look like and function. It doesn't add the visual elements like icons and icons and colors to it. It's just about making something with as basic as pencil, paper pencil. You just make a mock in which you decide, this is the content I'm going to show, this is the button that's going to be, and on clicking this next screen comes, and there you can do it. So I'm going to quickly share an example of how a particular wireframe can look like. And just give me a second, I'll share this with you. Okay. Um, so it can be as basic as something like this that you're going to see. So it's a design of a dashboard, and you can see that it does not have any elements in a very structured way. It just has a basic defined as order info, rider info, and you know where every obviously you want to go something like this, like the visual polishing will give you something like this, but then obviously you start with something like this, and like I have mentioned that this the better version of this can be on the right, and the polished product that gets to the user can be something more polished. I hope that answers your question. How to create a portfolio as a beginner? Okay, that's a great question actually. So I suggest, so I have suggest to them that solve a problem. Like I mentioned, that it can be as basic as figuring out if the fee payment thing at your college is not good, then you can solve that, and you can actually put that as a project, and that can be one thing. So just give me a minute. I'm actually looking for something that one of my friends made, and she actually designed something for better um, OPD tick, you get a slip at OPD. So she designed something for OPD at a it's in top 8 hospitals in India, and no one thought about this problem, but there were so many problems around it that helped them. Right, I'm just looking if I can find the link, and I'll show you that project. So she created something that worked. Just give me a minute. I'll so the key here is you don't have to make something very big. If you're solving it for at least 50 100 people, then also it's a good thing to have in portfolio. Then document it. How do you figure out this is a problem, and then how do you sort of researched it, how many people you interviewed, and then going further and talking about what ideation you came up with, and how does this how does this work. Then you make the final visual designs, and that can be the way to go. Just, so I'm not able to find that, but sure. um, cool, but you can start with anything, right? And just it has to be a human problem, and you just create a basic thing, and don't get into this thing of I want to make 15 projects. Just start with 3, and that will really help you. Hello, I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Karthik, you may proceed.
Yeah, looks like we are done. So thank you very much,
Okay.
Rohan, for this wonderful session. And we would like to express our gratitude for sparing time for us.
Thank you so much for
Karthik, there's a
having me.
last question left. Can we continue with that?
Yeah, sure.
Rohan sir, it's right on your screen. You can check it.
What the this question is how can I become a computer UI UX designer being a computer science student? Is it the same question?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Oh, by the way, guys, meet Rohan Mishra. He's also a computer science engineer, and he has completed his computer science degree, and he is a UI UX designer. I don't have UI UX design degree from any design colleges, but the people who went to this colleges works with me. I have mentored them. I am still mentoring a few students from NID Ahmedabad and Srishti from Srishti in Bangalore. So like I don't think uh, this is the certificate is very important. And being from a psychology background, being from a computer science background, like technology background, it really helps you, because then as I talked about in the product design part, the technology is also needed with the UI and UX skills. The It really gives you a head start. You actually know about how technology works. So I don't see why you can't, and it's actually a plus point, right? So I'm also a computer science engineer by training. I can code in actually a lot of languages as well. So that should not be a problem. It's a good thing to have.
Yes.
Cool.
Do we have any
Karthik,
more?
are we done?
Yes. So thank you so much. Our abundance gratitude to the officials of Silver Oak University, thanking to the whole Silver Oak University management, our principal Dr. Saurin Shah sir, and our FPC Dr. Satikar sir. Also, greatly thanks to the faculty coordinators, and thanks to the whole IEEE student branch team, without whom this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of this webinar, and we hope to have your presence marked for tomorrow's webinar as well. Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karthik. So thank you so much. I hope to see you all very soon.
Goodbye, all.